Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. You're watching our video comparison between the Verizon Galaxy Nexus and the HTC Rezound. Both are available right now with a two-year contract for $300. They're also very similar in terms of specs. They boast 720p displays, 4G LTE connectivity, but they have their own specific refinements to differentiate each other. For example, the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, as we know, has Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich, while the HTC Rezound features Beats audio. So let's find out which is going to be the right device for you. Honestly, neither device wins us over in the design front just because they're very conventional looking. Both are constructed out of plastic, decent build quality, but the Verizon Galaxy Nexus is easily the thinner between the two. You could tell here from the side profile view. It's also the more lightweight between the two. You notice the weightiness of the HTC Rezound, but besides that, nothing really spectacular about both. So we love that both handsets feature 720p displays, but they're actually very different. On the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, it's a 4.65 Super AMOLED panel and has a pixel density of 316 ppi versus the 4.3-inch Super LCD panel of the HTC Rezound and packs a pixel density of 341 ppi. As far as color production, we prefer the Verizon Galaxy Nexus. It's punchier with its color tones, more saturated, and also boasts the better viewing angle, so it maintains its clarity no matter how you look at it. So the Verizon Galaxy Nexus utilizes a Pentile matrix arrangement, whereas the HTC Rezound utilizes a standard RGB matrix. And you could argue which one's better, but to tell you the truth, when you look at things like the web browser and the zoomed out view, when you look very close, they do produce some sharp looking details. But when you look at it from far away, it's hardly noticeable which one offers the superior detail. But in the end, we just prefer the Verizon Galaxy Nexus display. It definitely jumps out more with its larger display, saturated color tones, and just lovely all around. Above their displays, they feature front-facing cameras, a 2-megapixel front-facing camera on the Rezound versus a 1.3-megapixel one. They both can shoot 720p videos too. Well, on the opposite edge, the HTC Rezound has the red theme Android capacitive buttons, whereas the Verizon Galaxy Nexus with Ice Cream Sandwich, the on-screen buttons are actually a part of the interface. There's no question about it, we prefer the physical buttons in use with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, both the dedicated power button and the volume rocker, just because they jut out more and they have better feedback as well. Aside from being able to charge the devices and also offer data connectivity, the micro USB ports are actual MHL ports as well on both devices, so you get video out functionality with the aid of an MHL adapter. Naturally, you find 3.5mm headset jacks on both devices, but with the HTC Rezound, it features Beats audio, so you get a little bit more robust tones with its output. In the rear, we find the respective cameras. It's an 8-megapixel autofocus camera, dual LED flash on the HTC Rezound versus a 5-megapixel autofocus camera with a single LED flash on the Verizon Galaxy Nexus. Lastly, as you could probably tell, both handsets offer removable batteries. It's actually an 1850 mAh battery on the Verizon Galaxy Nexus with NFC, and you have a 1650 mAh battery on the HTC Rezound. But the Rezound features the benefit of a micro SD card slot, so you could expand its internal memory. There's a 16GB card preloaded. There's none on the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, but does pack 32GB of memory. As we know, the Verizon Galaxy Nexus features the most up-to-date Android experience in the form of Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich versus the HTC Sense experience running on top of Android 2.3 Gingerbread on the HTC Rezound. With the Verizon Galaxy Nexus and Ice Cream Sandwich, it's a stock experience. It's obviously blessed with the most up-to-date features. On top of that, it sports a cleaner look versus other previous versions of Android, and we like the fact that it's very easy as far as multitasking a variety of different applications, and the on-screen buttons are now part of the interface itself. So overall, it's refreshing, it's new, and it appeals a lot more. Still, the HTC Sense experience is still wonderful just because there's a lot of graphical components to its presentation. On top of that, with HTC Sense, it offers a ton of personalization, from changing the scenes, skins, wallpapers, and even the useful lock screen, so you still can't count it out in the personalization aspect. When it comes to raw processing power, both are equipped with dual-core processors. With the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, it's a dual-core 1.2 GHz Ti OMAP 4460 CPU versus a dual-core 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon MSM 8660 processor. Both are coupled with 1 GB of RAM, and tell you the truth, their performance are pretty much on par to one another. They're not the fastest, most fluid thing that we've seen out there, especially with graphically intensive live wallpapers. You could tell there's just a slight hint of choppiness. Not bad at all, though. Still, for other basic operations such as opening up applications, kinetic scrolling, they're fairly instantaneous with their operation. Typing out messages isn't a problem with either device just because they have such large displays. It makes it very easy and comfortable to type out long messages. With the HTC Rezound, it features the Sense keyboard, while you get the stock Android ice cream sandwich keyboard on the Verizon Galaxy Nexus. They both exhibit a really good responsiveness with them. They keep up with our rate of input. Very spacious too, and overall very easy to use. Of course, it's wonderful that both handsets have 4G LTE connectivity, and in fact, our web page managed to load in under 20 seconds on both devices. But with web browsing performance, you could tell with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, it's a little bit more fluid looking with its controls, both pinch gestures and kinetic scrolling. But when there's a lot of flash content on screen, there's just a little bit of choppiness. But in either case, they're more than usable. Interestingly enough, we find that the data speeds are faster on the HTC Rezound than they are with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus. We'll quickly show you our speed test results here, just to show you that. On the average, it looks like the Verizon Galaxy Nexus is 3 megabits per second slower in the download speed department. You could tell the left being the Verizon Galaxy Nexus and the right being the HTC Rezound. Download speeds are faster on the HTC Rezound. Same thing applies with upload speeds, though it's only 1 megabits per second faster on the average. So when you're playing music, the interface might not look different from one another just because they display the same things, the album cover, the on-screen controls, but with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, when you place into landscape, and as you're browsing through your songs or even your albums on the phone itself, you get that nifty looking 3D carousel effect, which is definitely nice. But as far as audio quality, there's no question about it. The HTC Rezound offers stronger volume output than the Verizon Galaxy Nexus. And on top of that, it features Beats audio support, so when you plug in Beats audio-enabled headphones, you get more robust tones with its quality. Both handsets handle high-definition videos no problem. The videos that we're playing on both handsets are encoded in MPEG-4 1920 by 1080 resolution, so it's 1080p. You can tell a good fluid frame rate with both, good detail too, and it's very enjoyable. But with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, we prefer it a little bit more just because of the Super AMOLED panel. It has punchier color tones and a larger display, of course. Above, we have the images taken with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus and its 5-megapixel camera versus the bottom, which are from the HTC Rezound's 8-megapixel autofocus camera. And to tell you the truth, their qualities are very similar. They're very nice-looking shots, good color production, very natural-looking. On top of that, details are pretty much the same. Even for things like macro shots, they produce some lovely-looking photos, a lot of clarity and sharpness. But when it comes down to indoor shots or low-lighting conditions, the advantage goes to the HTC Rezound just because it features an f2.2 wide-angle lens, so it looks less noisy looking, whereas the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, you notice some graininess. Neither device offers any compelling 1080p HD video recording. That's just because with the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, it captures at a rate of 24 frames per second, so it's choppy, whereas the HTC Rezound, even though it shoots faster at 30 frames per second, it's still a little bit choppy, but we do notice more artifacting going on when you're panning very quickly, and details on the average side with both. With call quality, we have to give the slight advantage to the HTC Rezound just because with its earpiece, it's the stronger between the two with its volume output, and voice is a lot more audible just because there's no background noise or distortion going on. With the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, on the other end line, our callers say that our voices have a rather robotic tone, and on top of that, the speakerphone's output isn't the strongest and has some squeaky tones too. With 4G LTE connectivity and their large displays, you can't expect much out of battery life, and that's why it's no surprise that we get 10 hours of battery life of normal usage with the handsets. Not great at all, but with 4G LTE devices, it's pretty much commonplace at this point. So if you have $300 right now in your pockets to spend on either device, we'd have to say you're probably better off choosing the Verizon Galaxy Nexus for the simple reason that it offers the most up-to-date Android experience with Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. It's not to say that the HTC Rezound isn't a bad handset. It takes some lovely looking photos and videos. Yeah, that 720p display, and it sports, faster data speeds, slightly faster data speeds than the Verizon Galaxy Nexus in our testing. But with Beats Audio, it's not really a big attraction when you think about the greater scheme of things. With the Verizon Galaxy Nexus, you have that gorgeous looking Super AMOLED panel, 720p resolution, and of course it takes also some nice looking photos and videos, lightweight, very streamlined, and of course Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich, the biggest differentiator right now. So if you'd like to learn more about either device, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V. As always, guys, thanks for watching.